Tifu by performing the Major Tom technique, and now I think I'm going to be disowned. If you aren't familiar with the Major Tom, it's because it's a thing I, hopefully, came up with. It's a form of auto-banana asphyxiation by using gravity. Basically, you button up normally, but before you nut, you squat down as low as you can to the ground and breathe short shallow breaths while still whacking it. This part is called getting in the shuttle. As you nut, you jump up from that squatting position as fast as you possibly coconut can and hold your breath. This is considered takeoff. If performed correctly, you should become very lightheaded and experience pure bliss due to the zucchini from your zucchini rocket. This is called being in space due to the fact you feel like you're floating. This is a technique that should be performed only by professionals, in a controlled environment. I, however, am not a professional despite creating the technique. You see, by hyperventilating and jumping up, you are literally cutting your brain off from oxygen. No oxygen equals no consciousness. When I took off, I coconut jumped up at Mach 50 and must have ripped a coconut hole in the goddamn space-time continuum. Because the next thing I know, I was laying on the ground with my zucchini out, covered in space juices from my trip around the sun. Before I could even pick myself up off the ground, my mom rushed into my room to see if I was okay. She heard my re-entry. This part is called disappointing your mother. You can just imagine the scene she walked into. She stared at me with a mix of disgust, anger, and again, disappointment. I stared back with what I thought was confidence, like I was Buzz Aldrin and just got back from the moon. But thinking back on it, it was probably embarrassment while I was desperately trying to put my space plane back in the hangar while getting on my feet as quickly as possible. And due to the fact, she's never caught me before. At least not to my knowledge. She ended up closing the door and stomping her way back to the living room, presumably to watch more Judge Judy, and to take her mind off of what she just coconut witnessed, or consider disowning me. I cleaned myself up, taking off my spacesuit and putting civilian clothing on. Somehow none of the rocket fuel managed to get in the carpet, just my clothes, and I managed to not even injure myself in the crash. I'm currently writing this in my room right now, and I don't plan on leaving it anytime soon until I can think of what to say to her. If there is anything to say at all. TL, doctor, tried a new experimental masturbatory technique, ended up passing out, mom caught me with my pants down, and now I'm stuck in my room. Planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do. Edit, only do this if you have a safe place to land. If you fall, it is extremely easy to hit your head and die. Edit 2, I posted an update. You can read it here. Have no regret, dear Icarus of the fated flight, for it is better to have flown and fallen than to have never felt the burning light. Icarus, you're telling me the exact instructions of how to perform the Major Tom but expecting me to not try this. Edit, do not do this near your TV. When did I say that? Everyone should try it. With safety in mind, of course. Plot twist, Op is 42. 44, actually. Guess I needed an /s. Everyone thinks I'm a creep for posting on /r/teenagers, despite being 16. That's one small cheesecake for a man, one giant disgrace for his family. Tifu by giving my son permission to beat his bully's cheesecake. My son was born with a condition called pectus excavatum. In layman's terms, his chest is sunken in. His condition was so bad that he only had 2.5 inches between his sternum and his spine, and his heart and lungs were bruised because of it. In December, he had surgery to correct it, and they put 2 nickel bars in his chest to give it space and train his bones to grow correctly. About 3 weeks after his surgery, a kid punched him and dislodged the top bar, and he had to have another surgery to put the bar back in place. The kid has been through a lot. Well, the doctor cleared him for most activity last week, just no skateboarding or bike riding, but he could now lift his backpack and go hang out with friends and play pickup, non-contact sports. Unbeknownst to me, a kid in his class had been bullying him all semester, and because my son was afraid of getting hit again, he just took it. Well, the evening he was cleared, he came to me and said, "Dad, I'm cleared now. A kid has been bullying me and hitting me for months. Can I kick his zucchini?" Well, My son isn't really a fighter. He's fought with his brothers but never anyone else, and he's always gotten his coconut kicked. So I just figured he was just talking. This is the first I had heard about the bullying and I was concerned. I could tell he was distressed about the situation, so I told him to knock the coconut out. He just nodded and went to his room. Now, his older brother is tough sob. He had a traumatic brain injury 2 years ago and he missed a year of school, so he's in the same grade and coincidentally takes the same class. I talked to him about it and told him to handle it but don't get in trouble. He told me that the kid walks in every day and punches my son in the head. I asked him why he allowed that to happen and he said he wanted his brother to get tough and once he was tired of getting hit, he would do something about it. While I kinda agree with his thinking, I instructed him to handle it without getting in trouble. Next morning I took them both to school, then drove back home to get my younger daughter who goes to a different school that starts later. On the way to take her to school, my wife calls me. Have you taken XXXXX to school yet? Well, after you do, go pick up your son. He got in a fight. I just assumed it was my oldest son. Imagine my surprise when I walked into the school office to see my younger son with a grin from ear to ear. He was beaming. He pointed to another kid sitting in a chair holding an ice pack on his face. I warned him. I was so proud. He had walked into class, sat down, and the kid popped him in the head like always. My older son got up to intervene and before he could, my son decked the kid with one punch. He said the kid was bawling on the floor and that it was the best day of his life. He got suspended for 3 days. Doctor, I gave my son permission to beat up his bully because I didn't think he would and he did it. Edit 1. The kid who punched my son in the chest was one of his friends. It wasn't malicious, just 2 boys clowning around. He was horrified that he had hurt my son. The bully punched my son in the head every day. Once he found out my son couldn't do anything about it, he just kept on. My son wasn't the only one he bullied, either. Also, the bully's brother came to my son later and told him that he had warned him once my son could fight, that he was going to get his zucchini kicked. Edit 2. My son has some social anxiety and since the fight he has made a lot of new friends. He used to hate going to school but now he's disappointed that school is out for summer. Crazy. Edit 3. Thanks for the precious metals. And holy zucchini. Front page. Nice zero tolerance. Kid hits your kid every day, no one does coconut about it. The second he fights back, suspended. What a crock. Zero tolerance cheesecake kills me. It encourages bullies to do their thing because nothing ever happens until the victim fights back. If they do get caught, so what? They don't have to go to school. Win for them. Zero tolerance is code for zero liability for the school. I don't see the TIFU. This is how you teach your kids to deal with bullies. TIFU equals today I helped my son coconut up a bully. Not sure how this is a TIFU. Honestly, just a great story. Yeah, the bully deserved it. In my books, if someone hits you first then swing away. Did the school punish the kid who dislodged the bar? In my books that is something that should have been handled, especially if it caused another surgery. You need to make a formal complaint to the school board. Your son acted in self-defense after being punched. He should not be suspended. His teacher should be suspended for letting this go on. I'm proud of your son too. TIFU by forgetting to log out of Reddit. TIFU by saving my Reddit login to the computer at my work. Forgot to deselect the box that remembers my login information and now my coworker and anyone who uses the work computer has access to my Reddit account and can do whatever they want. In fact, I don't even know I've FU yet. My coworker is hoping that I discover that I FU when I receive replies to this post. Reddit, please let me know I've FU and give my coworker recommendations of how to increase the consequences of staying logged in. TL, Doctor, I forgot to log out of my Reddit and now my coworker can do whatever they want, like say the true user of this account has a small coconut. But it's coming from me so you know it's credible, and that you/Mr. Whistler am not the slightest bit hung. I had a manager who, in order to make sure people locked their computers when they were away, would sit down and use their computer to write an awful email to himself. Then he would print it out and ask them about it when they got back. He never let it go on too long, just long enough to make the point and get a good laugh out of it. We changed their backgrounds. Army guy put Air Force background or Navy. Big macho guy. unicorns, guy who takes himself too seriously, My Little Pony. It works too. Repeat offenders get settings change like invert mouse or flip monitor or all three. Everyone here is recommending nasty butternut subs. But what about finding a new hobby for him? Follow every single knitting/crafting DIY group you can find. Maybe he now likes baby goats. Find some of those to follow. Edit, tweaking my humor. Edit 2, the baby goats, thank you for the silver. Both wholesome and irritating, I approve. For real though, I think the key is messing with his advertising cookies as much as possible. Reddit is likely pushing ads for a 30-something male gamer. Let's make that a 20-something pregnant 1D fan. Off to a great start. You've managed to get him gold. I'm already jealous. Time for me to leave myself logged in on the work computer. I applaud your frank, honest admission of butternut size. The world needs to hear there are more of you out there, the hero we all deserve.